This is the Our Town with Troy By, and it's going to be fun today.
I'm excited.
Megan is here, and Megan was an episode. You remember your episode number?
I knew you were going to ask. 52?
31.
Oh, God. I thought shot the dark. Sorry.
52, I think, was Jacob Clark.
I love that you know that.
I
Who was
do
97?
97 was, that was we did the Tango 15, which was about the helicopters. It was a guy who wrote a book, James something. I'm just spacing on his last name.
And who was number one?
Ricky Fernandez from the Pandas.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Someone asked me, as far as I don't remember. It was a little while ago. It wasn't like 100th episode or something. Like, hey, so are you like embarrassed of your original like content? I'm like, no, like the show wise, not at all. Yeah. Just as far as we went right. If you go back and you're always going to be your own worst critic.
Yeah.
But I felt like Ricky and I just went into it.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And, I was obviously I'm prepared, but I don't prepare any differently than I would have done for like episode 1 to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And I'm not embarrassed of it. I was embarrassed of the lighting. I was embarrassed of the set.
Right.
I was embarrassed of things that I willingly decided to take a risk. And I knew that in time it would get better. Mm-hmm. But I also I wasn't going to like prolong starting a show, because those are things I wasn't good at.
Well, and kudos to you, because oftentimes people let those things stand in the way of actually starting, right? So you just did it, and it just was what it was, and you just refine as you go. And keep in mind, too, it's really easy to criticize now what it looked like back then because of how much you've learned now, and you've been able to refine and just tweak it and make it better each time, So
yeah, because I had never done studio lighting and stuff. All the things I had done were, I'm at a high school gym. I'm in a high school press box. Yeah. I'm doing a live game. I'm at a church doing a service at a funeral, and I'm behind the camera.
Yeah.
And so it was a little bit of a leap of faith, and to like say, okay, now I'm going to be in front of the camera, and I don't really like to look at the camera. I'm still not that good at it, but I'm not afraid of like the content in the show.
Yeah.
What about you for SheBoss? So Megan Nivens-Tannett is the founder and CEO of Flourish Consulting, and she was episode 31, so we're not going to dive.
Not 52.
Yeah, we're not going to go back through and redo that, although she's from Clearwater, Florida.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. And we had that episode, we go into a lot of your background and how you got here. But she's also the host of SheBoss. Yeah. The SheBoss podcast, and she just had newly elected Ranae Bartlett, the Madison city mayor, replacing Paul Finley on her show. Mm-hmm. And how was that, just seeing? I know you know her, but like now as the mayor, was it any different?
It was really lovely. And, we shot it on the 4th day after she was, sworn in. And so it was during a very, very busy week where she was, I think, just jumping from, one opportunity to the next. And, but anybody who knows Ranae knows that she's so cool. Like, she really is. Yeah. Like, she is just the most down to earth and intelligent and smart and funny, and is always smiling, and just like, and this is always, it's like before she, she's been on the, on the city council for a long time, and just has contributed in so many ways to our city, but she's just so cool. And she's got a really unique story and background that I think is just very different. If I can be completely honest, this had nothing to do with her ability, her skill set, her experience, anything like that. I did not think that she would win. I was really surprised that she won. And this is me not being I know that she's not the first female to hold that position in the city of Madison. But I haven't been in the city of Madison for, I've only been here for a couple of years. And so I did not think that, I just did not expect that our city would support a woman in this position. I don't know. I just didn't think that would happen. And so, not that it wasn't because of her, but just because of I don't know. I was just surprised. And so when she won, I was over the moon elated for a million reasons. And I mean, there's no doubt day one, she is making changes and making impact and embedding, her vision across our city. And it's evident in so many different things. And I mean, and it's, these aren't little by any means, but little things such as just communication with residents, right? With, her newsletter and the changes to the website. And we now have an app to see when the train's going to come and when we're going to get stopped downtown. And I'm sure those were things that might have been, baking while Finley was in office, but it's obvious that she's here to make some changes in the positive direction. And I mean, I'm just so excited to see what's to come for her.
Yeah, I had interviewed her, and I'm spacing on the number 79. No, 80, because 79 is actually Jared Hudson, who's going to run for senator, is running for senator.
Wow.
He's the guy that from Covenant Rescue Group that does the bust anti-child trafficking, human trafficking.
Oh my gosh.
And he trains police forces on how to do stings, do the reconnaissance, if you will, staking out your suspects, and then busting the door down at whatever and taking them out. And when I interviewed him, it was like at 8:00 in the morning on like a Tuesday, and he shows up. He drives from Birmingham because that's where he lives. And I'm like, hey, what time do you leave? He's like, well, I got home about 2:00. We had to do a sting last night. And I got in the car about like 5, and I'm here. I'm like, oh my gosh! Like, thank you for sleeping for 2.5, 3 hours.
Like, did you sleep?
Yeah, but he, I don't know if he's going to win the race for senator or not.
Wow.
But he's a fantastic interview, and he's just a fantastic individual. And we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. But
that's exciting.
So with Ranae, though, when I interviewed her, I could see some of the seeds when she talked about being transparent on the city council and different things, and I rooted for her. But I'm wondering, like, do you think it's just when you think you weren't sure if she would win because it's Alabama or because it's Huntsville-Madison? Like, and I say that because I'm just to feed you the answer, but I'm thinking like, well, maybe we're just that different. We're that much diverse. We are that
different, and clearly that shows, know. And that was me naive and thinking that. If I can just be completely honest, I think we're all some of us anyway are battling their own perspective on the changes that have unfolded across our country, since last January, and just regardless of what side of the aisle you're on, right? Like, there's just a lot of things that I don't think anybody was anticipating, and lots of surprises, I think, too, with that. And so, as a woman who is very passionate about women's rights and all these things, being in the state of Alabama, you make some assumptions about which way things are going to sway politically. And, I'll be the first to say, and I don't have a ton of experience in this realm to really, back it up as a lot of people do. But I truly believe that Huntsville and Madison are very different. I feel like we are, in a bubble. We are not we don't represent the greater state of Alabama in many, many ways. And so, I think I just had a pessimistic view on the reality of the world that we live in, frankly. And so when she won, of course, again, just so elated about it. And it really made me even that much more proud to be a resident of this community, because I think, we're not like the rest of the state. And that's not to, bash anybody or any political party by any means. But, it's kind of been a good old boys club for a long time, So I'm really glad to see that, we're moving in the right direction.
Well, a couple things. One, it's funny when people complain about the drivers here, like, but they're from everywhere. There's no there are some people who are natives of Huntsville, Madison. There's
not a lot though,
but there's not a lot.
Yeah.
So the bad drivers they're there you go. It's a cross section of the country. But when I interviewed Joey Cece, from Breland and Town Madison and all that, he made an interesting point, because he's the kind of guy that's more of like your campaign manager, really helps politicians get elected, but he's not going to be the public official. But he was saying, think about it. Paul Finley was from Kentucky. Tommy Battle is from Birmingham, not from here. He's like, in other parts of Alabama, unless your grandfather or grandmother were on the Mardi Gras committee, you're not running for public office. Unless your grandfather, grandmother, whatever, was on city council. You're not running for public office. He's like, but Huntsville's different. And that just kind of like stuck out. So I wasn't necessarily surprised, I guess, when Ranae won, because I'm thinking, well, it's just, from people from all over.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us come and say, hey, I want to live life differently than wherever I was before, or I'm more open-minded because of wherever I came.
Yeah.
And,
I think politically, I've just personally lost a lot of hope.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest with you. And so, of course, in my mind, she was the candidate.
Yeah.
But I think in the back of my mind, it was just, well, it's not going to go that way because, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of people probably feel that way too. We've all been a bit beat down politically for quite some time, but, and again, it's just the whiplash of where to put our focus, right? And where to put that energy. It's just hard to,
and
to
with
keep
that,
track of.
I would hope politicians are like Ranae, where they are people you can respect, that are professional.
You'd hope.
That's what you hope. And so that's what I see. Hope. Like, oh my gosh, like that's what I want,
Which is why I have a lack of hope.
Yeah,
so
I know.
Sometimes, yeah.
Well, let's just kind of keep pulling on that thread. So let's just talk quickly about things other than Flourish.
Yeah.
And the stuff that you have going on now that you've been here. You've been here 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that your circumstance was different when you arrived here because you were working a corporate job and you were pregnant with your daughter, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
What is Megan doing to get more involved, I guess?
Yeah.
And some of the groups that maybe you're excited to be a part of.
Oh my gosh. So, I mean, there's certainly no shortage of that here in this community, as you know. And I may have talked about this previously, but I am a big proponent of supporting other women, regardless of what that looks like, whether it's through mentorship of, high school and college students, or it's through just, leaning on them as my first network, to help with business opportunities. But the Women's Economic Development Council here is such a phenomenal organization for any woman who's looking to build their network, give back to the community, volunteer. I love that group. It's a bit of a sorority style organization, but you look around that room and you're just surrounded by so many powerful, influential women, some of which have been on your podcast,
That's right.
But it's just such a great organization, and just, again, a lot of women wanting to make a change and do the right thing. Something that I'm really excited about, actually two new things that I'm very excited about, one of which is I joined the board for the Fantasy Playhouse Children's Theater this year, which is amazing. And, just a quick story on Fantasy, they're such an amazing organization, have been around for a very, very long time, just recently moved over into the old Mary Mac Hall off of Triana in Huntsville, and Karen Mockensturm, who I think was she on? Did you have her on at all? She is, she is one of my most favorite people on the entire planet. And I think anybody who knows Karen is like, oh yeah, I know what you mean. Like, she is the most colorful, outgoing, funny, beautiful, smart, just like everything. And you just like want to gravitate towards her when she's in the room, but she is just running this organization with such a phenomenal team of volunteers and sponsors and all these people who are just so passionate about what they're doing over there. I hope I don't embarrass him, but my stepson, Mo, who is now a junior at James Clemens, he's in the ROTC program, really trying to push him to go for the battalion commander position this year, which he's working towards, but super, super smart kid. He has always been very, very type A, very particular, a little bit introverted, but his brain is very artsy and music driven and all of that. But he struggled a little bit with some social skills when he was growing up, just to be honest. We got both of my boys, him and my youngest son, Jack, involved in the Fantasy Playhouse Children's Theater Camp over at Bob Jones when that was sponsored. They both did that for a couple years in a row. And let me tell you something, Mo, without a doubt, discovered who he was as a human being because of theater. It opened up an avenue and an aperture for him that honestly he has never seen before. And as his stepmom and his dad and his family, to watch him just completely come out of his shell where he could just be himself and feel confident, it completely changed his life. And, it gives me goosebumps just thinking about it. But, watching your kids discover something like that at such a young age, when frankly it was a little bit of a challenge for them, was just such a beautiful thing to see. So for that to come a little bit full circle, and me have the opportunity to join that board. Jana Miller is the president this year, who's amazing, and she's over at Blaze Solutions with Amanda Pope. But they're just doing amazing things. And I will have to say, Fantasy has one of the largest boards I've ever seen in my life. But every single one of them are so dedicated and so engaged and so passionate about the cause that, it's a really, really exciting time for what they're doing.
Let me ask you this. With Mo, is it short for Maurice? Or
it's short for Matthew.
Matthew.
Matthew Oliver.
Oh, Matthew Oliver. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Take the middle and first and middle initial.
You call him Matthew and he doesn't answer. It's just, so you got to call him by Mo. Yeah.
Sometimes, my given name is Monty. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, normally.
Oh, I did know that, actually. Yeah. No, I did know that.
I signed my name M. Troy By, out of respect for my dad, but I've just never been called it.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm afraid that if somebody does say it and I don't respond, in a situation when I should.
Yeah.
Because some people may only know me by my given name, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, but did it come, do you see that he's only he's found himself within the context of doing theater, or has it also helped him outside of the theater and he's just more, I'm not saying everybody has to be an extrovert, more extroverted and more comfortable in his skin?
100%. So, Mo and his dad, I have been together for 10 years, about 11 years maybe. And the very first time that I met Mo, I guess he was 4, when we went out to lunch, he pretended that he was invisible the entire time.
Oh.
Like the entire time. And I've seen kids do their thing where it's just, 15 minutes, the entire time he was invisible. And you were trying to engage with him? Well, I was just okay. And it was he's invisible. So therefore I have to play my part in, seeing as though he's not there. Right. Even though, clearly there were some cute things he was doing for attention and things like that. But for me, it was a really interesting thing to see his mind work the way that it did. And from that moment on, I just saw Mo as he's this really peculiar kid. His IQ is off the freaking charts. He is so smart, but he's very peculiar. And sometimes that, when you're young, it's hard to adjust with some social skills sometimes with kids, So it wasn't that he necessarily struggled with that, but I just don't think that he ever had confidence in himself to truly be who he was until he had an opportunity to just be. And what I mean by that is, when Mo, from the time that Mo was little, he would play make-believe, and he likes to dress up, and he likes to really go into character and kind of have these alter egos where, again, it's just his way of playful imagination, right? And so Fantasy allowed him to take that desire and find a place for it. It put it into a box where he could do something with it, and he could discover who he was as he was going through those exercises and those performances where on his own, he was doing that on his own and didn't really have he didn't really know how to express himself in the full capacity, if that makes sense. So I think that Fantasy really showed him hey, you can be who you want to be, and you can feel this way, and you can act this way, and it's okay. No one's going to judge you. We want that to come out. And so that gave him the, the ability to feel as though he can be more in his skin. Of course, those skills where he was coming out in that capacity absolutely transferred over. It just allowed him to open up a little bit more. It allowed him to communicate a little bit more effectively with other people, just gave him confidence in the different things that he didn't know that he could potentially pursue. And now he plays piano, he plays guitar, he is in technical theater, he is an artist, he draws and he writes and he draws these really, really cool characters. The kid is just...
He's 15, 16 now?
He'll be 17 next week.
17, okay.
Yeah. But he's just, he's super, super smart. And I will say, in addition to that, which was a program offered at Bob Jones, him being involved in the ROTC program at James Clemens has been a game changer. I think anyone who has kids realizes, that transition from elementary to middle and then middle to high school, there's all of these kind of weird things and awkward things that happen, right?
Yeah.
It's they go from your sweet little baby to bra, and that.
Yeah, you don't know anything.
You don't know anything, right? And it's all I eat is Captain Crunch, and I just everything changes. changes, like my youngest, I'm like, what do you mean you don't eat that? You ate that yesterday. Well, no, not anymore. I'm like, I cannot keep up.
Right.
But so just all these changes happen, right? But it was a really beautiful thing to see. And with Mo, it was like, okay, we got to kind of figure out like, what's his thing, what's his jam? Like what's the passion going to be that he's going to follow? And we knew he had this artistic side to him, but when he got involved with ROTC at James Clemens, man, did it just put some structure and some organization, and it helped to carve a path. And I think him being around his peers, where he could see that these guys and gals around him are competitive, they're determined, they have an internal ethos that they abide by, and that to him was like, okay, I need to step it up, right? I need to kind of, and I just think that evolution of those two things kind of coming together has just really helped him just kind of grow into the man that he is today, and it's just really exciting. So yeah.
Well, I was just thinking, even at 4. To play invisible, is kind of a character.
Oh, 100%.
You may not think it at the time, like, he's just being shy or whatever, but to him, he was trying to go to a place. Yeah. And you're kind of showing like he's kind of tipping his hand at, hey, I'm kind of playing, I'm acting here.
Yeah, which I just thought was really, it was just a really, again, he was just such a peculiar kid. Yeah. And I will say, when one of the, the funniness just about life in itself is, and then you have my youngest son, Jack, who's now 12. And him and Mo are like polar opposites, like legitimately polar opposites. Jack is your football star. He, is going to be doing wrestling. He wants to do every single sport known to man. He's got his own business. He's an entrepreneur. He's all about the ladies. Like he just,
Is that yours and Zach's son?
No. So I have Madison and Jack, and then he had Mo.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
That's
so, right. But and then they get together, and it's like, obviously there's going to be some natural clashes, right? But they also learn a lot from each other too, which I just think is a lot of fun. But
my 3 boys couldn't be in a way more different.
Really,
just in the sense of like from a high school perspective and what they pursued. My middle son's a little bit more like my older son, but then my youngest, who would graduate from Clemens, my 2 youngest graduated from Clemens, but he discovered archery. Thank goodness.
Oh, super! Both of my kids did archery, and they loved it.
And he was kind of like, he wasn't a team sport guy. He wasn't really into theater or anything either, and I just was so hopeful he would find something, and then he found archery, and he was actually really good.
Archery is not difficult. Yeah, I've tried to shoot my kids' bows a couple times, and I'm like, dang, if you're not working that muscle, like it's a different.
Particularly when they, it's one thing when they just shoot at the target, but then when they introduce the 3D animals, every time every animal is 1 meter back, so it's one thing to get your aim point at 10 meters or 15 meters, but then there's one at 10, 11, 12, 13. So like, you get into competition and you're like, well, I'm going to shoot this turkey at 10, and then I got to move to the coyote at whatever. And like that takes some skill to calibrate and to shoot different, but he was really good.
Oh, that's awesome.
We got him lessons, and the instructor, this guy who teaches a lot of the high school kids, he's like, who taught your son? I'm like, I have no idea, sir. I don't like YouTube. He asked maybe around. He never asked, nor could I have given him any tips other than pull back hard or something.
Pull back hard, yeah. Aim for that. aim there.
So
too funny. Well, and let me tell you, like, actually, I wasn't sure if you wanted to talk any more about Mo, but there's another initiative too that I would love to chat about.
That's what I was going to segue to.
Okay, cool.
But go ahead.
Cool. So, and like on the same vein of kids being in high school and all that stuff. So, Fantasy, fantastic. Support them. They're amazing. Like if you've got young kids who, like their summer camp programs are just amazing, but there's also a million other opportunities to get involved with Fantasy. So
and real quick, are they doing 2 or 3 productions a year?
Oh, they do several productions. Oh yeah. Okay. They've got a full lineup. They've got they have all sorts of things that they do. But it's a local nonprofit. It's been in our community for years. And it's amazing. So if you want to support the arts and they're also too, going back to the point that I was just talking about with Mo, these sort of transferable skills and confidence building and finding yourself and this and that, I don't think a lot of people realize that supporting children's theater in that capacity is not only because that child is going to follow a path of going on Broadway, that child can follow a variety of different paths, but having something like that as being exposed to that at such a young age, again, I have seen it firsthand. Mo's not going to go and be, he may, who knows? I mean, he loves technical theater and might do something in that field. But what it gave to him that can contribute in any capacity is just so great. So this is it's not only I think something that's going to help kids in a big way, but it's also a workforce development component too, right? Let's strengthen those students that are around us. That way we can equip them for, great opportunities that our community has to offer. But to segue into the very similar thing in that regard too is another board that I'm just another organization that I'm so glad to become a part of, and I have Ellen Didier to thank for it.
Yeah,
who I know has been on. Ellen is who I want to be when I grow up, and I absolutely love her to death. She's also one of my most favorite people on the planet. But is the Madison CEO Program. So Madison CEO Program is such an amazing organization, and this got started off by Midland Institute, which is I'm new to the organization, so I hope I don't get this incorrect. But Midland Institute is an organization that, in essence, provides these programs throughout the country, where they're high school curriculum-based programs where students get a dual enrollment credit for it, and they're able to, in their senior year of high school, take an entrepreneurial class in place of a class during school. So in the mornings, instead of, block 1, they go to Madison CEO, and they actually sit down with a facilitator who brings in different business owners, and they actually have to build a business as a class the first semester. Second semester, they build their own business, and they actually have to launch it, sell products, sell services, whatever it might be. And so these students get an up close and personal view at what it is to start a business and become an entrepreneur. And Midland, provides all sorts of resources and curriculum to them, but we've got a phenomenal program here, and it's all schools in the city of Madison. So Bob Jones, James Clemens, St. Paul John II, all these schools can get involved in it, Madison Academy, and it's a phenomenal opportunity for students. And when you think about industry right now, and you think about the rise of AI, and you think about, there's a lot of people wondering, do my kids even need to go to college?
Yeah,
I am certainly questioning that. I'm like, I sure as heck would like to save a couple $100,000. I don't know about you, but like, I just, we just sent our daughter to Bama, and anyway, but like, there's a lot of fields that don't necessitate going to a 4-year college these days. And so, this, and not to say that students who are, wouldn't be a good fit for this program, but certainly this just opens again the aperture for students to think beyond that as being their only option. And so it's a phenomenal program. I will say we just got the band back together, so to speak. This was an organization that started up about 3 years ago, and just due to some challenges that they had, it fizzled a little bit. But we've got a brand new board, lots of new energy. We've got all new folks kind of running the show, and there's going to be a lot of really exciting things coming out from that. So it is a community funded program. So this is something where we look to local business owners and businesses to help financially support it. It's not expensive at all, but we need financial support, and we're also looking for business owners to help come in and talk to the kids. Someone come in and talk about what it's like to run their own restaurant chain. Someone to come in and talk about what it's like to run their own defense contracting industry. So we're looking for people to come in and really have a touch point with some of these students. So if that is something that anybody is interested in, please contact me. Honestly, it's Madison CEO Program. You can find us on LinkedIn. We've got, again, a great organization, great group, and it's going to be really exciting.
Is it only for high school? Is it targeted only high school kids?
It's high school kids only. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. It's high school juniors and seniors.
And are they asking the companies to provide internships and other real world?
I mean, we would love that, but that's certainly not a requirement. I mean, the goal is to, similar to, if you're familiar with the Spark program that Greater Leadership of Huntsville does for their college graduates. Let's kind of give you a demonstration of what's here in this community. That way you understand maybe what some of your options are, right? It's not a direct, the primary goal is not to be a direct workforce placement tool or anything like that. It's really to just, again, get these kids connected with local business owners where they can kind of learn from their experiences and just be able to lean on them as mentors in a way, and just learn.
Yeah. It's like you said, on one hand, you feel like, just take the risk. You don't need to go to college. But I think so many of us me included, are so used to working for like the government or something where they set the requirements for the position, right? And there's no way around it, necessarily. Or you can try, but there's going to be some sort of penalty, or and so you're so conditioned to, well, you have to have this degree or that degree, right? Or, I guess I've told my kids in the past, it's insurance, getting a degree is insurance to at least not have you be excluded from an opportunity because there is some sort of requirement.
Absolutely.
But, you see the, not all, but many of the most famous entrepreneurs. And it's hard for, I think, maybe you and I to relate in a way because we're old enough that we didn't grow up with YouTube and stuff where you could just learn things on your own. And, I didn't really do well with the teacher explaining physics to me today. Yeah. Let me go see if there's a physics professor online.
Right.
And I could see if I enjoy their style more. You know what I mean? So,
Troy, it's so funny that you say that. So, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about my youngest son, Jack, just for a minute. But he's 12. He's 12 years old. And let me tell you, if there is a Renaissance man, it is him.
That's him.
He is doing all sorts of different things all the time. I mean, so much. I often wonder about these two. I mean, I have a pretty good idea of like where I envision Mo if I close my eyes and think 15 years down the road. When I think about Jack, I'm like, boom, boom, boom. But he's just sort of all over the place, but in a good way, in the best way. But the other day, he's like, he just started at Liberty. He's 7th grade right now, and just started their second semester classes, and he's in the computer science class, and he's like, we have to learn how to write code. And I'm like, that's awesome. You can learn how to and he's like, I can just use an app to do that. I'm like, I don't, and he's like, because they want to build an app, and he's like, I don't need to learn how to code it. I can just go and like literally he's like pulling it up on his phone, and I mean, you could use AI to build a website in less than 30 seconds. I mean, like literally. Mm-hmm. And so he's already like thinking in that regard. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Where it's like, and not that but he's like, where's the next thing that I can kind of, tackle and do, So it's interesting because I see, the difference in generations when you think about kids like that, to your point, who have grown up seeing, their peers learn all of these things, and information is just there, right, at any moment. We joke about this at home, and he, had definitely had some, challenges with COVID, and when he was real young, when the school was out, and so we kind of joke, but like his handwriting, is not great. And he's like, well, why do I need to write? I can just ask Siri, or why do I, I can just use voice text. And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm like, we need to be able to write. Like writing is important, but it's just such a different mindset, and I don't know. I mean, I'm really eager to kind of see what this generation, what I mean, what happens.
Yeah. Cause you're wondering like, okay, I think I'm past, like, you don't have to know how to do like written long division, I guess, to like understand math. But like on one hand, you kind of wish that everyone knew how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you're like, but is it necessary? You're like, okay, so what is the fundamental thing they do need to learn when it comes to code? Maybe you never have to write code. Maybe you never have to learn syntax, and whether it's COBOL or C++ or something, which still I understand, like C++ is still like underlying it is like generating it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just kind of like, what is the foundational thing that helps someone intuitively?
Right.
I don't know. Understand, or does honestly, it matter?
Does it matter?
I don't know.
I think that's the bigger question. Like, I mean, honestly, I think to someone, and we'll just pretend he's, but like to someone like Jack, it doesn't matter.
Well, here, let me rephrase it. Like, does it matter somewhere though? Like to the app maker, all right, or to the algorithm maker, the people that are actually like, is there still code that needs to be written or troubleshot when things break?
I mean,
if 99% of the people don't, like, is there still a 1% that still have to, like, you still have to have people who understand? And
someone's got to be able to control
and untangle the mess. Like, have you ever gone to like inspect element?
Yeah.
And you're just like, okay, there's a lot of code there.
Right.
I mean, you should do that and ask them, like, well, do you understand what that is?
Yeah.
And if it came down to it, would you have to know in order to turn the light back on,
right,
or stop a nuclear bomb or something? You know what I mean? Like, it's in the code. I don't know.
I know. Well, and so where I went in my head as I was hearing you speak about this was, it's sort of like, an ingredient in a recipe, right? Where it's like,
what's missing?
Yeah. Well, but also too, it's like, I'm just going to pull out my jar of paprika. I don't have to go and like grind the whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just going to put it in my recipe and I'm good. I don't need to worry about that part of it, right? Because someone else already has. But God forbid we have a paprika shortage and someone has to go. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
so
I do.
I don't know. I mean, I mean, I'm not really sure. I think it's going to be interesting though. But he's just like, I can just go do the thing like this. Why, and that's as a parent, you probably know. I mean, that's a hard argument to make because I'm like, well, and then I'm like, well, why do you actually? I mean, if the expectation is to be faster, smarter, right, and like do all of these things, do we need to spend the time over there, or if we already have something and something that's kind of doing it for us? I don't know.
As a parent, I can see, I sense, I get frustrated when I feel like my kids don't need to come to me for some sort of knowledge or wisdom because they're just getting it from,
the internet.
I want the satisfaction that you came to me and said, Dad, I don't understand something. Can you explain it to me?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Versus like, I guess ChatGPT can replace me in the sense of like, asking me a question. You know what I mean?
Well, and when you can ask anything a question and get an answer, and God knows where that answer came from, but as a child, you don't know the difference between.
I just want them to look at me as like some source of information and wisdom.
Yeah. Well, I have to say,
from time to time,
I think it's Finland. I read an article the other day. I think it's Finland, where in elementary school they're actually teaching kids how to decipher like AI from non-AI.
Oh, really?
Like, how do you look at an image and determine whether this is like they're teaching real or fake? Like, how do you decipher this, and how do you like look for information on? Like they're teaching about how to kind of show right from wrong and not just believe and just trust your sources, and like, which I thought was really, really interesting. But I agree with you. I mean, my kids are just, especially Jack, he just asks Siri a question, and whatever that response comes back or whatever the internet says is sometimes truth, and as parents, we really have to challenge him on that. And it's a daily conversation, frankly, it really, really is, because he's like, oh yeah, it's 21,300. And it's like, no, where did you get that information? And he's so confident, cause that's just who he is. And so I'm like, oh gosh, I don't know if politics are in your future or what, but like, it just is,
Yeah, you can just make up anything now.
I know. And he's like, crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's awesome. Thank you I didn't know about Madison CEO.
Yeah, great program. I strongly recommend our community to rally. I have to say, our school system and Ed Nichols and his team they have just stepped up and really supported that program in more ways than I think people realize. And so kudos to them and their team, because, financially they have supported things in a way that has just really helped to maintain that program here. So, with all that being said, there's a strong partnership with the Madison Chamber of Commerce as well. And Michelle and her team are in great support of this program. They actually filmed a movie that involved some of the students from James Clemens and Bob Jones. It was called 1 to 100. And this was a program that Ellen Didier and her team at the Decatur Morgan CEO Program, very good, very successful, longstanding program over there. Their influence definitely helped bring it over here. So thank you to their team for that. But they had a movie called 1 to 100 where the students were given $1 and they were challenged to turn it into $100. And so it was this documentary that kind of followed these scenarios, and it was genius because it was in essence a marketing video to promote the Madison CEO Program, to kind of teach kids how to, Wow. And so it was just this really cool, impactful thing. So we're planning to debut that film here locally. That way we can show that to our community and really get them excited about what is the potential when you give students these opportunities. And then again, it'll showcase some of the students who were part of it a couple of years ago, which is really exciting. So
yeah, and I think some of this is, let me say how I want to say this. Madison needs to create its own identity too. It's separate from Huntsville, but at the same time, we're the greater Huntsville area. This goes into the concept of our town, right?
Yeah,
and I think whether I've explained it to you, I try to explain it to there's a literal component and there's a figurative component to our town. Mm-hmm. College football is a great example right now, where let's say Ole Miss gets knocked out last night. Alabama was in the playoffs. There's all kinds of controversy about that.
Game, though.
I know, it was a good game.
I was like, come on, I really wanted.
But let's say you're in Alabama. Let's say you're an Auburn fan. Okay, And then, hasn't been so good for Auburn, but then, so you're out of the playoffs. Do you then put on a different hat, and do you root for Alabama and or at least the SEC because you're still Southeast, you're still SEC, you're still proud of Alabama? You may not, because Alabama, that's it's a stiff rivalry. But do you become like an Ole Miss fan, and now that Ole Miss is out, it's like either, okay, I'm out, I'm not interested anymore because there's no SEC, or what's your next best option? For me, it's Miami, because growing up, I still remember, of course, I was in Virginia, but I remember Jimmy Johnson being the coach of the Hurricanes. And before he went to Dallas, and this was Michael Irvin and Vinny Testaverde, and I don't know, this guy Walsh. It was Walsh and Aikman went to the NFL at the same time. And Aikman came out of UCLA, and Steve Walsh came out of Miami. And Aikman ended up having a Hall of Fame career, and Steve Walsh did not. But, I just remember that was kind of the first time I remember thinking, which of these players is going to have the most impact in the NFL, right? And I thought it was going to be Steve Walsh. And then Miami, they've just had some great players over the years. But so now it's like I'm rooting for Miami.
Do you feel a little like a traitor in that regard?
No, but I think
you don't.
No, but it's just I think it's like the figurative thing where you still like enjoy the sport enough that you want to root for someone. Like, okay, well, it's not like I'm not going to watch anymore. Right, but we're constantly putting on this different, like, is it James Clemens or Bob Jones? Is it Huntsville or is it Clemens? Is it Madison? Is it East versus West, North versus South? Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like this constant thing that we do where we're at odds with something, or in competition with something. And so it's like, these are things that are natural for Madison to have a different identity. You got a new mayor. That, yes, arguably the Huntsville Chamber of Commerce is bigger than the Madison one, but Madison, Decatur, everyone's trying to have, because we want to provide a community for our people, and we don't necessarily want to be wholly reliant on some other city, right?
Right.
So this is a natural thing of a progression, and I hope there's no animosity or competition between Huntsville and Madison for something like this.
Oh, I don't think so.
Why don't we have that? Like, well, there's the cyber school, but not everybody can go to the cyber school. So maybe there's a different cyber school, or there's a business program, right? And but I think it's also just indicative of the entrepreneurial mindset that we have. And if there's a need, and our kids have a need, this is a great example of that. Let's fill that need.
Yeah, agreed. Well, and I know, I'm sure you have talked about this in, several capacities throughout the show, but the collaboration that has been here across the board within North Alabama for many, many years has been fantastic, and sure, there's some competition, I think friendly competition within Madison for sure, as there should be, but I think that's, the role of the city to kind of unite us as a whole, regardless of what side you're on, know. But Huntsville, I think Huntsville and Madison and Athens and Decatur, and the combination of just joint efforts and, with Commissioner, McCutcheon just really being integral to kind of, I don't know, just kind of pull everybody together. It's never really felt as though there's too much of a, divisive nature here.
Good.
I will say, when I lived in Southeast Huntsville, I used to think Madison was like, I was like, what is that?
It's on the boonies too.
But now I definitely do not feel that way. And, honestly, for us to get to Huntsville and vice versa, it's 10 minutes. It's not, it's nothing, you know what I mean? So, now it's just a great community.
I saw that Ellen gave a commencement speech maybe at Athens State.
She did. Yes, she did.
It's good to see
She's
her.
the bomb. Yeah, she's amazing. She has, I can't remember it specifically, but she's got some really big lofty goals where she wants to hike these insane trails, like 100-mile trails over 10 days, and just just do all of these things. But yeah, she's amazing. I just adore her. Yeah.
I was thinking about it before. I was thinking about her today. Probably because I saw that in the feed that she spoke at this commencement ceremony, but I was kind of thinking back through some of the past episodes, and I would think that, we're friends. It's not like we hang out all the time, but there's sometimes you just connect with certain people.
Yeah.
When you feel like, Megan and like Lauren Goins and
love her,
and Ellen and some others, like for some reason, like the marketing companies,
we're just the fun crew.
They're just a fun crew. And I just have like the better association in a way.
Huh. Well, we're creatives, right? And we're passionate about very similar things and community and bringing people together. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cause I think when you're the founder of a company, or obviously marketing or just growing something is just constantly on your mind.
Oh my gosh, all the time.
Well, it's let me ask you this. this isn't necessarily a segue, but I'm going to be interviewing a personal injury lawyer, and I haven't yet. And I've gotten sued by Morgan & Morgan, by the way, out of Florida.
Oh, gosh.
But they're nationwide. And then I know Shannara. And so, you look at billboard attorneys, but doing my research on personal injury, it's been fascinating. And I've certainly did not want to be like that naive person who, and it's the one thing you can do to really offend a personal injury lawyer is consider them like an ambulance chaser. Like that'd be horrible, right? You just don't do that. Just as much as I don't want to be called a blood sucking, taking every dollar out of the government, like some Beltway bandit. Like, we might laugh about it, but it's also like, can be a little more offensive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm just always fascinated at how much they have these marketing teams, and the need to have a billboard every 100 feet.
Call me.
But
Alabama.
I don't know if have you ever been asked to work for a personal injury like at that level, and kind of and the reason I'm asking is when we talked last time, we talked about how you're interested in doing a lot more than just where should I put my billboard, build me a website, build me a logo, right? You want to inundate yourself and integrate yourself with that business and their messaging and their branding. But that's just one that's on my mind as I think about, like, it's just so bold and audacious when you see these, and there's tons of them. There's not just Alexander Schneider, there's Keith Wettermark or Wettermark Keith.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is it about that industry where they have to like just be like constantly in your face?
That's a good question. We actually worked with we worked with somebody a couple of years ago who worked for a local personal injury lawyer, and they were telling me how much they spent on SEO and digital ads per month. And it was somewhere in like $40,000-$50,000 a month, just because the market is so saturated, and that constant in your face, I think within that industry is just, that's their marketing tactic. It just is. It's to be noisy. It's to be loud. That way, when that moment strikes, you are not asking yourself who it is that I need to contact. It's already top of mind. You just know.
It's like calling 911.
For sure. And, and I think it's also one of these things where, like any brand, I think when you have a brand who, when you decide to go all in, that's an example of going all in, right? Yeah. And I'm not saying that, Alexander's strategy is billboards and billboards only. It's certainly a lot more than that. Right. But, if you're going to stake that claim, take it, right? Yeah. And get all of the real estate associated with it. That way nobody else can kind of saturate that. The beauty is that you have a captive audience in that regard. Downside, it's very difficult to measure the ROI of that, right? But I don't know what it is about that though.
Well, let me offer something I learned. I know this isn't, you're not the personal injury lawyer, but okay, so I'm listening to this podcast of these personal injury lawyers out of Austin, Texas. And one of them is
as a means to like prepare for this
interview? That's what I do. Like, I don't remember how I prepared for you, but if it's something I have no experience with, I will inundate myself.
That's awesome.
Hours and hours of stuff. So
see how much work goes into this? It's just, oh my gosh, I know.
Because like I travel a lot, so rather than watching episodes of Yellowstone,
which is so good.
Which was so good. I got through it all.
We all need a Beth in our corner, by the way. I know, right? I want a Beth in my life. She's such a badass. Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. You can. But so I'm inundating myself, and some are just so bad. There's so many bad podcasts, and I find these two guys who I really like. And one of them is saying how he just decided a case, and it was somewhere in the 8 figures, so somewhere between 10 and 99 million is on this particular case. Mm-hmm. Well, he's at like a happy hour, and he's talking with a fellow attorney, and that guy's like, "Hey, man, congratulations! I heard about your settlement, whatever, and decision." He's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "I just litigated the exact same case, literally the exact same case, same everything, and we settled for $60,000 instead of, let's just say it was $50 million."
Oh my gosh!
So you start thinking about it, and sometimes in this case, it's about the attorneys. How much time and effort do we want to put into this case? You can have plaintiffs that it's like, "Hey, listen, we can just push the easy button, and I can get you $60,000, and that's probably what they owe for their for their kids' college tuition. They don't want to drag it on. Let's get out. Sure, let's do it. $60,000." Another person, like, let's say, if you're the one who was injured, you can make fun of these billboard attorneys until it happens to you.
Yeah.
Right. Like, okay, now I need an attorney.
You know what? I'm gonna call Shannara because that's his name. I'm gonna think of
that's
first,
what. So
right?
the whole thing is here. It's like any business. How many as Flourish? How many clients can I take on?
Yeah.
How many? So if you're a personal injury, how many cases can I take on? What kind of volume? What's the level of effort going to be for witnesses or deposing or the discovery process? All this stuff that takes time and effort. Mm-hmm. That ultimately, yes, if you could put the effort into it, you might get 50 million. But if you don't, are you going to cut some corners or convince the plaintiff to do whatever?
Yeah.
Just because it's like, I want to get something out of this, but we don't really have the time to put what we could into this, and they don't even know either way, right?
Yeah.
But because there's all these tools and stuff, and so I thought about that. I was like, well, maybe that is why you do these billboard stuff, because then there's this impression that they can afford it.
Yeah.
No matter what, they can afford it, and they're going to give me the maximum judgment because I've heard of this or that. And I think my case is worth $100 million, versus just, I don't know, small time attorney, and all I can get is $100,000.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
I don't know.
That makes sense. Makes sense. That's interesting that you're listening to a couple of those podcasts. What are some big things that you've pulled out that really surprised you that you had no idea about this space?
I didn't really ever think about like there's certain municipalities that have immunity. So like, let's say something happens in the city with the city bus or something. Oh. There can be a level of like immunity when it comes to that. Okay. One that's really interesting is like an Amazon truck. Let's say a truck crashes that's delivering packages. Well, Amazon owns the trailer, not the truck. The truck is they subcontracted out. The whole reason they're able to do like free shipping and all this stuff is that they've figured out how to like completely outsource everything. So then it's a race to the bottom for those that want the business. Because you think about like you order something in China and it's going to go on, somehow it got to get to a cargo ship, and then it has to get to a train, and then it has to get somewhere to a truck, and then maybe to a smaller truck to somehow to your house. Yeah. The only way to make that happen for free shipping or whatever is that everyone's racing to the bottom for the business, for Amazon and the high volume to get your thing to you, wherever. Yeah. And so there's these cases where they're like, well, Amazon, we're not at fault. We weren't driving the truck. And then the truck driver's like, but we were delivering for Amazon, so we're not at fault. Mm-hmm. And then they're like, well, what about your credentials and your driving? Well, Amazon only says we have to have, a license versus we have to have certain training and all these things. So there's just like these interesting loopholes. Yeah. When you got just all these different layers to it. Mm-hmm. And or there's certain immunities that can involve, like, sorry, city bus, there's nothing you can do about it. Things like that were just kind of interesting to me. Yeah. Yeah. Which is probably why the legal system at times just has a judgment that you didn't foresee coming, because there's not precedent for it, or the law needs to be changed to be, but that's the law right now. Cause or like some girl like fell off, she was smoking on the rooftop of somewhere and fell off the roof. But, and she's saying that the little dormer on the thing was loose. Like, but you could say, yeah, but you shouldn't smoke. And if you are going to smoke, you shouldn't go to the roof. And then, like there's all these things, but you're like, yeah, but there was nothing that prevented that. And she fell off and hurt herself. And now, you owe us $2 million. Oh
my gosh. Yeah.
I don't know. It's just,
but
I like to fill my brain with as much of that.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know, I'm prepared.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
So let's talk about, the last time you were here, we talked a little bit about Madison helping you, who's not named after Madison, Alabama. No. You just happened to name her because you always like the name. Yeah. And it was like 2005. You sell your house in Atlanta, and you come here. You've never been here before, and you start this new job, and you're pregnant. And it's like and I asked you if you got your blood pressure checked, and you hadn't. But then ultimately, she helps you when she's 11. She's kind of like, hey, Mom, why don't you just start your own company, right? Yeah, so she's kind of the impetus behind that. And you've talked about that with me and others. But now let's talk about Zach. Yeah. Joining Flourish, because I remember, I don't know, it's been a couple of years now or something. Maybe it was maybe it was last year. I just remember thinking, wow, that's cool. Yeah. That's interesting. Can you talk through that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Zach being your husband.
Yeah. So Zach is, he's So he really, I think when I think about this question, I think about sort of like a Venn diagram, right? Where, where, and I kind of joke about this, but it's like where I am messy, he is clean, where I am more, and we just really balance each other out in that regard. And, his background has, he's spent a long time working in sales and for a variety of different industries and organizations and different size companies and all aspects of the sales organization from kind of, entry level all the way up to management. And then also had a, pretty heavy hand in the marketing side of things as well, during the last couple of years. So as we were obviously growing the business and identifying, it's interesting when you start a business, anybody who owns a business, God bless them. It's extremely difficult and there's lots of challenges. And, when Madison dared me to start this business 8 years ago, it was a dare, right? Legitimately. And it was like, oh, this won't last. It's a short thing, and then next thing you know, it's like 8 years in the business. So there's a lot of things that you just don't know going into it, right? And so what we have learned often from our financial advisor, who's amazing and is always in my corner and always in my ear, she's Veronica with Insight Strategic Solutions. She's amazing. But there's different challenges you face as you reach certain thresholds of revenue, right? And usually when you hit that million mark, it's like, you face a certain set of challenges that you don't really face in the beginning, right? And then when you hit that $5 million mark, like there's a different set of challenges that traditionally business owners will go through, right? And I'm not saying that we have hit any of those marks, but
25 million.
Yeah, but it's just my point being is that as you grow, the challenges get larger. The issues become a little less sustainable, and so. Anyways, long story short, we were just really identifying the needs that we had, coupled with some of the things that he was really looking to go do, because he was looking for a change based on where he was before. Great opportunity that he had, but was just really ready for something else. And as we looked at both lists, like we just started going like this, and it was like, wait a minute, like how would that work? And so we've been, we were planning over a year. Been planning for this and just talking about it, and really had to wait for the timing to be right for him to come on board. And it's we just really needed someone who can take a fresh perspective, look at the business, and just help us with operations and efficiencies. And he's been taking an AI cohort to figure out how we can automate things from behind the scenes, and really working on financial projections and things that just gives us a greater clarity about where we stand with everything. And and those are things that frankly I've kind of been doing on my own for the most part, with a couple of resources here and there helping me. And so we really needed someone who was just a little bit more consistent in that regard. So he joined. Everybody was kind of freaking out because he's a guy, and we are traditionally have mostly been women, with the exception of Ethan Fitzgerald, who did work for us for a little bit back in the day. Hello, Ethan. Great guy. But since then, it's been all women, So everyone's like, a guy? Ew, But the girls, of course, the team, it's like, oh, it's Zach. It's different. He's been behind the scenes for quite some time, and anybody who knows Zach knows that he's like the coolest person on the planet. I mean, he's my most favorite person I've ever met. And he's a hoot, and he's funny, and he's smart, and he's intelligent, and he's just all the things, you just always want him around. Yeah. And he's also like, he doesn't ever get annoying, which I really appreciate, like you could just hang out with him for extended period of time and you're just like, yeah, this works. You know what I mean? Like it's just cool and comfortable, and he's a good steadiness that I think we just really needed. So.
Let me ask you this. Did, whom else in your family? We're going to talk a little bit about some stuff related to your family and how you all collaborate, if you will. But was Madison involved in this, or who else did you seek out as far as, is this a good idea? Like, this seems good for Zach and I, and we got the Venn diagram out.
Yeah.
But did you seek out other like cool-headed, objective opinions on this?
So we always, lean on the guidance and counsel of Veronica Cram, who I cannot.
Financial advisor.
Oh my gosh, yes. I just cannot talk about her enough. She's in essence a fractional CFO for small to medium sized businesses, and has been a game changer. And so she is always the one that, we seek counsel for on any decision that we make with the business. And she knows Zach very well. And so, it was a recommended plan. I will say that Sometimes you have to take risks. And I feel like owning a small business, especially in the year 2025, was a series of just 1-2 punches that we just had to constantly be, and that was really hard. It was really hard because we made the jump to bring him over, and then we had some things change, at the business. And so it's like, whew, okay, and so and you just have to be able to go with the flow and just react to it, and so it's definitely been, there's no doubt there's been some stress. I will say, I think we had, both him and I had really big expectations of some things that he was going to accomplish when he came on board. And then when he did, just like anything else happens, it's like, oh, wait, we have to handle this thing right now. And then we have to, and so it kind of derailed what was, this big vision that we had in mind. But that's okay because we were able to be very flexible with that and malleable and to react to the things that we needed to react to. So
do you commute together to the office?
God, no, absolutely not.
Separate cars? Yeah.
So I am
because you're not going to leave at the same time and all that.
No, and I do not. I am extremely impatient. I do not like waiting on anybody. And I hope he doesn't kill me for this, but Zach is a little bit more go with the flow. And I'm like, which is again, it's that I know. And so I'm like, and I'm an early bird. I get up super early, and so we have different schedules. But no, he primarily works from home too. So our office setting has changed a little bit. So that's another big thing. We've actually found someone to rent our space. So our team is no longer in an office all the time. So we're 100% remote now, which was a big shift. We started that in 2023, kind of slowly, and honestly, it just makes a lot of sense because the team can kind of do their thing, and it hasn't impacted our productivity in any capacity. So good. So him and I will be working side by side again sometime soon, but we may choose different floors of the house just that way. I don't drive him crazy.
Good. If you don't mind, let's transition into your personal health, because I think you have a very important story that's somewhat documented and out there.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if you've had a chance to be on a podcast and talk about it.
I haven't actually.
So I was running one day, I think, and when I first found out about this, and it was like, whoa, kind of like one of those moments of like, I remember where I was when I spoke to Megan, and she told me what was going on.
Sweet.
Well, it's just my mother-in-law's had breast cancer 4 times. She's just going through her 4th.
Oh my gosh.
So family history, we all let's dive into that. And so for you, I don't want to. Normally, I would do. Yes, I've done the research on it enough, but I really would like you to kind of step through the full timeline.
Yeah.
Somewhere around 2015, right? Like you're 35 years old and you're doing your normal checkups. Mm-hmm. This is where I actually would like you to comment also how much your family looks out for one another.
Oh, for sure.
And there's a quote that I think it was the Huntsville, you have it on your website, but the Scout Guide or something did a story on, they did like a 4-part series, and it's, you had a comment of how your aunt, I would bring it up, but my thing is broken. I can't show it. Well, maybe I can, but where you basically said, you guys really look out for one another, and you saw something like on your aunt's shoulder, and she went and looked at it, and it was something
melanoma.
It was melanoma. It had to get removed. So
yeah.
Let's start in 2015.
And
take the story from there.
Sure. So for a little bit of background, I am of Irish descent, and so I naturally have fair skin. My entire family does, and I've got my mom and my dad's side, and so we have. There's always been cancer in my family, always, on both sides of my family. My grandmother died when she was 54 of breast cancer, and didn't go to the doctor until it became too difficult to turn the wheel of the car because of the tumor in her breast. Back in those days, it like you took care of your kids is what you did, So we, my mom, obviously being the oldest of 5, grew up obviously losing her mom at a very young age, knowing that breast cancer was in our family, seeing her aunts and her grandmothers, her grandmother, suffer from those things as well. She's just always been very adamant about taking care of your skin and sunscreen and getting checked and getting this, which I'm so appreciative of. So there's that background in itself. And then on my dad's side also has a history of cancer in his family. 5 brothers on that side. One of the brothers actually had breast cancer when he was 35. So that was insane to know that I had a male in my family who actually had breast cancer as well on my dad's side. So with all of that being said, and growing up in Florida, where it's like sunscreen, which I did not do as a teenager because I was an idiot. I was like, baby oil, right? But paying for that now, right?
Maximum tan, right?
I know. I was like, what was I thinking?
Was that copper tone?
It was just bad is what it was. Yeah. But, you know, so I always grew up knowing that I had cancer on both sides of my family. I, you know, would be remiss without giving my mom like the absolute kudos of all kudos, because from a very young age, you know, I remember her emailing me a list to my Yahoo email address of like, okay, here's every single thing that's in your family. Make sure you give this to your doctor. They have it on file, you know, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, when you're young, you're naive, you're like, yeah, whatever, you know, but like she has always cemented that into our heads. So I say all of that to say that family history list, number 1, was 2 pages long. You know, I mean, it was pretty significant. So I've always known that I had a little bit of a target on my back, you know, in that regard. And so flash forward, when they came out with the, you know, the BRCA test, when all of this came back out years ago, to do the BRCA gene testing, I did get tested. And I think I can't remember, I think it was 2015, the year that I got tested. But I went to CCI, Clearview Cancer, and got tested there. And I was negative for BRCA, which I was like, this is awesome. So I will not have a chance of getting breast cancer, or, you know, they don't have the gene that traditionally could potentially increase your chances up to like 40 to 60%, depending on the diagnosis. So,
and that's just blood work?
It's just blood work. Okay. Yep. It's just blood work. You get it done. No big deal. Right. So flash forward a couple of years, I'm in my doctor's office, same doctor that I've been to, who has had my information this entire time since I've moved here to Huntsville for 20 years, and has never once said anything else about getting tested or anything like that. There was a new nurse practitioner that came in, and she's getting to know me, and she's looking at my file, and I'm just like there for a routine, you know, PAP or something like that. And she starts looking at my family history, and she's like, holy cow, your family history is insane. I'm like, yeah, but I got BRCA, so I'm good. Like, I don't need to worry about that. And she's like, okay, so there's a million advancements in genetic testing that we can test for so many more things now, as opposed to just that. And there's other genes that cause breast cancer, not just BRCA. I'm like, oh, okay, that's really good to know. And, you know, I have a lot of opinions about that experience. And I'm so thankful that I went through that experience, because looking back, that type of education has never once hit my news feed. It's never once hit the doctor's office that I sat in.
There were these advances and stuff?
About genetic tests. Like, never. And granted, perhaps my lens was jaded a bit, because I thought in the back of my head that wasn't something that I needed to worry about. But I've never really known that these types of things were available to the extent that they were. So needless to say, I'm like, oh my gosh, well, that's awesome. Let's go get a genetic test done. And so during the summer of 2023, I got the test done, and it came back positive for a genetic marker called BARD1. I have never heard of BARD1 in my entire life. I actually called my nurse practitioner immediately, and I was like, what is this BARD1? She's like, I don't know. I've never heard of it. I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So, of course, I'm like spiraling on Google trying to figure out what this thing is. And it is a marker that increases your chance of breast cancer, and potentially up to like 60%. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. So I, immediately my doctor's office, they were, at CCI is where I got tested. I sit down with a genetic counselor, and I have a one-on-one meeting with her, and I talk with her about it. And, she's like, between your family history and this marker, you pretty much have a bullseye on the back of your head. Like, your chances of developing breast cancer are very, very high. And so, I didn't have a breast cancer diagnosis, but the chances of me getting one were pretty firm, right, at some point. And, I'm 45 years old now. I was 43 then. So, there's a good chance that within the next probably 2 to 3 years, if I was going to develop breast cancer, it would have happened. That's that time frame, in your 40s is typically when it's the highest. So, yeah, got the test done. had a lot of soul searching done with my family, and we decided that I was going to just do a prophylactic double mastectomy and just remove everything. I didn't want to risk that chance and have to go through chemo. And I have seen and heard of many, many stories of women who did not have that option, and whose life, it completely upended in so many different ways, financially, personally, emotionally, physically, all the things. And so it was the scariest decision I think I've ever made in my life to have that procedure done. But I would do it again in a heartbeat tomorrow if I knew I was in that same position. That was I learned about the diagnosis in June, and I had the procedure in October that same year. And then I recovered, and went through the reconstructive surgery. It was probably through the following June, July, until things really wrapped up and it was done. So
had you decided that that's what you wanted to do and the family was to confirm it, or
I knew that's what I wanted to do. I was pretty headstrong on that.
Anyone try to, not that you have to point them out, but anyone try to talk you out of it?
Not at all.
Everyone was supportive?
No, everyone's like, you know what, we support you and that's amazing. And, honestly, it was a really scary time because I'm like, thanks to, you go and start to go down a Google rabbit hole about things like this. And you just think about the procedure in itself and what's happening, I kind of joke about it now, but, my physician, my, not the plastic surgeon, but the breast surgeon who did my procedure, she used the term scrape when telling me what they were doing. And like, they have to like scrape all of the blood, the breast tissue off of your chest.
Right.
So like my skin is very thin. Do you know what I'm saying? Because there's like nothing,
nothing left.
There's nothing there to, which is just a really, and then you go through the reconstructive part of it as well, which is just weird. Like, it's so weird. It is so weird. And really uncomfortable and painful and all of these weird things. And, it was just a really, really bizarre experience. But again, I would do it again in a heartbeat. And it's just, I'm so thankful now that my chances of developing breast cancer have reduced significantly. And the silver lining to a lot of this as well, one of the silver linings is when I found out that I had BARD1 as a diagnosis, I immediately reached back out to my family and said, all of the women, you guys need to get tested. 2 people in my family found out they had it.
Really?
Yeah. Thankfully, they were over the age of 50 and definitely out of that high risk range, but they did not develop breast cancer. But they both had the gene as well. So knowing that, like now, Madison has already gotten tested and she's negative, thankfully, but she has that knowledge now.
But she also knows maybe every 5 or 10 years they're going to
absolutely,
get tested again.
Absolutely, yeah. So,
other than like Angelina Jolie, were there others that you came across that had the double mastectomy?
Yeah, I immediately when I found out that this was happening, it's interesting, and I. I'm a woman. So speaking about some, women issues, when you share with other women that you've experienced, a miscarriage, which I have, it all of a sudden opens this world of other women who have had a miscarriage. Right. And it forms an ability to connect and talk about experiences that in that moment, you may feel like you're the only one who's ever gone through that, and so when I was experiencing this immediately, I had, I think of WEDC and all of those women who I talked about leaning in, you immediately have people who are like, hey, listen, my best friend from college went through the same thing. I'd like for you to talk. Why don't you guys connect? And oh, my neighbor, I helped her with this last year. She came through this and it was a great experience. As good experience as it could be, right? Yeah. Why don't you guys? And I wanted to seek that out because I really, really wanted to take control over the expectations that I could kind of put myself on and just understand what I was up for. And I really wanted to pay attention to, okay, what kind of equipment do I need at my house afterwards? Yeah. What am I going to be able to do versus what I can't do? How does my family need to support me? And again, like the internet will tell you all these things, but I wanted to hear it from women who've been through it themselves, and it was an amazing experience to go through that, not only to connect with others and kind of hear their own stories, but it just, I don't know, it created this kind of new outlook on life. And, for me, health and wellness, exercising and dieting and all of that, I feel like an idiot when I say this. I think that's probably my favorite hobby It truly is. Like, I love working out. I love running when I could run.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love the field of just overall wellness and exercise and all that kind of stuff. And that wasn't something that I've always had that kind of passion for, but certainly that has enhanced significantly in my life over the last couple of years. And I think that going through this procedure, having a kind of a new chance on a life that hopefully is cancer-free, at least in this regard, has really helped fuel that in very positive ways that I'm thankful for.
Was there anything that they said at the time that you definitely could never do again after having the surgery?
Oh,
or is it
that I couldn't do?
Well, just kind of like, hey, here's the reality, Megan. You want to do this thing, but
so I mean, hey, I'll just a little TMI, but I mean, the reality is that your body never looks the same again, right? Ever at all, and how your body recovers based on your post-op really contributes to what that looks like, So I got to say, I mean, that was a really challenging thing as a woman, who, and I know a lot of women can relate, but like we're always critiquing our body in some
appearance.
And I think in the back of my mind, I was like, and I'm sorry if this is TMI, but in the back of my mind, I was like, yay, I get new boobs, It's not quite like that. It's not quite like that. Yes, you do. But it's a different experience. And I think, than I think what a lot of people realize, especially when you go through a mastectomy, because, getting a boob job is great. Getting a boob job when you have zero breast tissue to support that. And you know what I mean? Like you're working with a very different palette than what you were working with before. And not to weird anybody out, but it's just a different experience, that was one that, I wasn't necessarily prepared for, but that's who I am today, so.
And I'm not trying to say that's just aesthetics or something, but like, exercise wise or just, living a normal life outside of outward appearance. There's no limitation.
No, okay. Not at all. Not at all.
It's just more of how you look yourself in the mirror, how other people look at you and all that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because you had said before we hit record that you love to run, but now there's something in your back.
No.
And so
I know. Well, I saw your shirt, of course.
Yeah,
representing the Ragnar.
I love this logo, by the way.
So what does that say? Craft? What does that say?
It's Craft.
Craft.
You know what Craft is?
No.
Craft is a Swedish. I looked into this because everything that they make, if you go to, like, I got this at, I've run the DC Trail, the DC Road Race. I've done the Richmond Trail twice, and I've done the Appalachian Trail once up in West Virginia.
Okay. All Ragnars?
All Ragnars. Mm-hmm. And so 3 trails and 1 road. And there's always like the merch shop that they have. And then there's typically like something they give you.
Yeah.
This was like, there's always like the discount rack.
Yeah.
And this wasn't like one of the themed shirts.
Yeah.
And I've always had good success in just getting something from the discount rack. And Craft is actually a company out of, I think, Sweden. And they started with like cycling gear. Ah. They make apparel for like cyclers.
Okay. And
it's kind of like this company, I guess, that I don't think they're exclusive to Craft, but they use them a lot for their stuff.
Gotcha.
And everything I've worn is like, I love it. Like, I love this
comfy.
shirt.
It looks super comfy.
It's just the way it feels. And if you look at the way it's got like a different paneling to it than other t-shirts.
Okay.
And I have another one that I absolutely love. This is more of a running shirt.
Cool. Yeah. And Ragnar is, for any new listeners, right? That's the running series that Troy and I have in common.
Yeah.
Which is typically a 200-mile relay race of some sort.
For the road version.
For the road version. Or they have a trail version if you're a crazy psychopath and like to run trails at nighttime and put your life at risk. Yeah, there's that version too. I've done that and I will never do that again. I was like, I'm going to lose my teeth on this thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
When I ran the DC race, I was running somewhere through Maryland, somewhere through like cornfields or something at like 2 a.m. and that wasn't scary. But then when I'm running in the woods,
yeah.
And it's funny how even there's hundreds and hundreds of runners, like
you hit that one spot though, where it's
you just get to a point where there's no one around.
Yeah.
Like,
you do, and you don't see any headlamps,
and you don't see any headlamps, and you're just kind of like, I wonder if there's any snakes awake right now, because if they are,
run faster.
They're going to get me.
Yeah. Ragnar, to me, was something that like I loved it so much. And, Kim Hansen, obviously working with her and she's the AMC chief here, public affairs chief. And, her and her husband Tim were our team captains, and we just had the absolute best time doing Ragnar's. And hey, I have to say, we had to represent, because our team name was Rockets in Your Pockets, because we had to represent Huntsville, which, funny enough, kind of got some really odd jokes about like, we should have thought about that more. Sounds a little inappropriate. But we just had so much fun. And Ragnar's, I decided I didn't get into running at all until actually I moved to Huntsville. And I think I shared this with you. I got stuck by the marathon traffic driving when I was taking my daughter to go get donuts one morning. And I was looking at all these people running, and I was like, that's an old lady. That's an overweight guy. Like, what are they doing?
I should be doing
that. I'm like, if they can do that, I can do that too, So I signed up for my first 5K that day and ran it. And I was miserable. It was awful. It snowed. I had awful clothes. I had to carry my keys because it was just like this, everything that, But when I was done, the feeling I got, I was like, give me more of this, please. Like I was just hooked, and I signed up for all these different races. I think I'm just a glutton for punishment, I swear. But I signed up for all these races and then ended up doing the marathon. And that was the one and only. Good there. Don't need to do that again. Check. Yeah. But the, rolled my ankle at like mile 23. And so I had to like walk to hear all the people cheering. It was the worst. But then I discovered Ragnar and absolutely fell in love with it. But last year, we had signed up to do, Zach and I had signed up to do Hood to Coast, which is a big race in Washington. And
Mount Hood,
all the way down to the coast, and 200 it wasn't a Ragnar, but I don't know who runs that race. And it was a lottery system because they sell out so quickly because it's very popular, I guess. And so we threw our name in the hat to run it. We got in, and we were getting ready to start training for the run. And I just kept on having these issues with my back, my lower back, and I could not get past. It was just like one thing after another, know. And you and I kind of joked about this offline a little bit, where Zach and I just kind of joke. We're like, I swear I hold a sneeze in because I'm worried that it's going to cripple my back and cause me not to, Well, guess what? That's not normal. I guess it just happens after, And so, long story short, I ended up going to the doctor, and I have degeneration between my L5 and S1, and I'm getting a spinal shot on Friday for pain damage,
like an epidural type thing.
Kinda. It's an injection. It's just a pain injection, so it's not like into the spine, but it's an injection directly into wherever. But yeah, so he's like, the last thing that you should be doing is running. I'm like, oh, okay, that's good to know. So I have not run.
Can you cycle?
I'm not a big, that's my butt. Right. But I've been really getting into weightlifting, and I'm obsessed with it, and I love it. So my goal, hopefully in like the next 3-4 months, I'm working on it, is to be able to do a pull up, like a dead hang pull up. So I've been just doing, increasing my weights and really focused on that. And that's my new obsession these days. So
it's a different way to get the cortisol or the endorphins going and stuff, right?
I mean, I still do, the high incline treadmill walking, right? The power walking. I kind of feel like I'm one of those ladies, which I'm like, whatever. But I hate it because I love to run, and I'm so competitive, and I like getting on a treadmill. It sounds crazy, but getting on a treadmill at 5:30 in the morning and doing hill repeats as fast as I possibly can until I feel like I'm going to die. And then I get off, and then I get, like that to me is a good morning. And I can't do that. And I don't like that. So
maybe I shouldn't say this, but maybe with cycling, just get butt implants.
I don't, I'm good. I think I'm going to pass on that one. I don't know. I'm just not a big,
I'm kind of the same way. There's a certain like triathlon. Like I would love to do a triathlon if I didn't really have to like train for the bike, because that's like another hobby that's very expensive.
Yeah.
To like buy a bike.
Right.
It's one thing to just jump in the water and swim, and to run, but the biking is like it's a whole different animal.
Right. Right. Yeah. No, agreed.
There's the kayaking thing. I'd interviewed John Allen from the Committee of 100, and he does the long distance kayak up in Chattanooga.
Oh, that's cool.
It's called Chattajack.
Oh,
and it's like a 30-mile kayak, and apparently like you can do like as a single or a double, and people will do stuff where they don't even use an oar, and they will literally paddle with their hands 30 miles.
Why?
I don't know.
Why would anybody do that?
I don't know. I mean, like, it's one thing to have an oar, and but to paddle, like, it just bend over, and like you're just.
So that hurts my back. Even
just thinking about it. I know,
I'm
right?
Like, why would you? I don't. Yeah. I mean, hey, why would people run 200-mile relay?
Let me ask you this. has someone from the community, so you had talked about how supportive people are, and I'm sure it's, hey, if you need anything, or you need to talk to this person or that person, but has someone, I guess, explicitly come up to you and said thank you, and maybe they went through the procedure themselves, or I don't know, like,
yeah. So
thank you for telling your story, Megan.
100%. And, I have to say, I mean, this was something that, being someone who really thought that they were, had a really pretty good handle on their health, just based on their upbringing and their known history and all of that. I wanted to ensure that I was just as loud, you know what I mean, as my mom was when we were growing up, to women around me, because I did not know this, and I felt as though I was pretty well informed. So if I was in that position, I could only imagine other women who weren't listening to their moms, from the time they were little, saying, put on your sunscreen, play with your boobs, and get your annual. Yeah. And like literally that's the conversation that we've had in our house, since we were really little. So I absolutely, I mean, one of the fortunate things that I am just so, appreciative of is that we have a platform, right, where we can use that to promote things through Flourish. And so when we went through this process, I documented everything, and we, put out a series of blog posts called Empowering Wellness, where, there's a lot of story about my family history, and we interviewed local doctors, and we talked with local geneticists about, just the different types of testing that's available. There's a lot you can go do over at Hudson Alpha, if you've got a family history of cancer. So there's just a lot of these resources that are out there where it's like, if you don't know, you don't know. And, who wants to raise their hand and go through 3 years of a breast cancer battle? I don't think anybody's going to willingly want to do that, especially when your life is at risk and so many other things are just forced to be put on the back burner, So we really used our platform to promote that as much as we possibly can. I was very, very forthcoming about that story. And the number of people that told me how helpful that was for them, they had no idea. Thank you so much. I mean, it was huge. Even just thinking about men having breast cancer. Like, I had a lot of people say, I didn't even know that men could get breast cancer. Right. I didn't even know that was a thing, and it was just it was a really interesting thing where it's like, again, you don't know what you don't know. So, we've received so much positive feedback from that, and any opportunity that I have to share that story, I want to, because if it helps one person, right, figure out that they do have that diagnosis and be a little bit more proactive about their health, they need to do it. The other thing that I would say too, and I don't want to, open up a can of worms by any means, but, I don't know what your thoughts are about all of these revised nutritional recommendations coming out, right? Where it's like full fat dairy and red meat or
upside down pyramid.
Right. So, part of my journey in a lot of this, as far as my health and wellness, has really been focused on eating clean and figuring out the things that should not be put inside your body, especially those that are not great for women and are directly tied to some sort of cancer. And so those are things that I think we need to be really, really cognizant of, and do our own research and not lean on recommendations that come out that frankly are being fought left and right by very well-regarded, people in the industry who are saying this is actually not the recommendation. So we have to just really be in control of our own healthcare, and genetic testing, of course, is one of those, but just being really mindful about, because what goes in comes out, right? So,
if you could comment on the in those wellness blogs, you talked about the gaslighting of women, like going to the doctor and maybe being told takes longer for a woman to get a diagnosis than a man. I think that, I don't know if that was, if this is, or women maybe sometimes don't talk to their clinician about certain things. Yeah. And guys are kind of the same way, right? Like, it's embarrassing to talk to the doctor about your prostate, or when do I need a colonoscopy, and you put it off, but there's definitely some differences between how medical providers, if you will, treat men and women.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, and let's, I don't think that there's necessarily any significant or ill intent behind any of that, right? But let's just take a look at our healthcare system and like what that. Yeah. Oh my gosh. We've had an upfront, sort of a front seat to some of that stuff in a couple different capacities. But I mean, our healthcare providers are forced with so many, they're being scrutinized in so many ways where we cannot lean on other people to be the advocates for our own health.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my family witnessed that very firsthand when my dad was sick with cancer during the COVID year.
Mm-hmm.
He got diagnosed with cancer in May and ended up passing away the following June in 21. And holy cow! Granted, it was during the pandemic. I get it. But to see the level of, to see the healthcare system react in that capacity and how people without a voice and people without the knowledge and resources and financial means, where they're left in the world of healthcare is a very, very scary place.
Yeah.
And so I, coming off of fresh of seeing that where, I mean, we were talking about a lawsuit against one of the hospitals my dad was at while he was sick because of the just, anyway, so I say all of that to say that I recognize that healthcare providers are put under a lot of pressure and under a lot of stress. But I think just naturally as women, right, sometimes we don't necessarily want to rock the boat, or we don't think, we kind of power through things because that's the sign of strength that we think is where we really should be, rather than kind of questioning certain things. And, for me, I'm not going to lie. I mean, after this procedure took place, I was looking for a new provider. I immediately jumped ship from my doctor because I was like, you know what? I've been in your care for a really, really long time. And knowing what I know now, like, I don't know that conversation ever would have happened had it not been for that one particular woman.
Yeah.
And the flip side of that as well, which is something that has really kind of, I don't know. It is what it is, but it just makes me angry is that, when you walk into a doctor's office or even, a female, OBGYN or whatever, all of the signage, all of the promotion is all about cool sculpting and Botox and this and that. And how do we get rid of that cellulite and let's get rid of that, why can't, who cares? Like, why don't we just hang on to that? And instead, why don't we replace that signage with some updates on what's going on in the world of genetic testing? And let's talk about how, hey, we can now test for all of these different things that gives you a greater chance at even being able to, live another 30 years, let alone what the heck your stupid butt looks like.
Or even interpreting the results. So if the barred one comes back and your nurse practitioner wasn't aware of what it was.
Yeah.
So like, well, what is it?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it ultimately leads to what it led to. Like, holy smokes, man. Like,
yeah.
That's an education thing.
It is an education thing. And it's just, I mean, it's, and I get it, it's, information is power, right? And if the information isn't out there and, then we're not going to be able to do something with it. But I think at the end of the day, I mean, we just have to be our own advocates and we have to be aggressive and push people. And again, when I left my physician, and picked up all physical paper of all my files and all of that and went to go see a new doctor and made an appointment, I wasn't happy with it because I'm like, this is the problems that I'm facing right now. And she's like, yeah, it's probably fine. And immediately I was like, this isn't going to work.
Yeah.
That's not going to work for me. I will say both Zach and I were fortunate enough to do Function Health last year. I don't know if you've ever done Function Health. So I'm going to send you a link for it. Function Health is amazing. And it's a blood test that tests, don't quote me on this, but I think it's upward of like 200 different biomarkers in your body. And so rather than looking at like, how's your cholesterol? I mean, it looks at every single aspect that it can within your body. And it really gives you some indications of where you might have some imbalances, whether it's in your liver, it's in your heart health, it's in your, your cervical area, whether it's, it gives you all sorts of insight that just gives you some direction on which way to go. And it also provides recommendations for potentially supplement and or nutrition type of changes that might need to be made. And so we got this done last year, Zach and I, and it was a big eye opener just to know like, holy cow, I actually have, high iron. I didn't even know that, or my iron was extremely low and I wasn't measuring that or whatever it may be. But that's been something that's just been really interesting and kind of given us a little bit of an insight in that we didn't really have before. But that's the direction I would like to go, is having more of a functional doctor where we're looking at all things rather than just one.
Yeah. Holistic.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I wish that things could move more quickly in that direction where we have those types of services provided, because fixing one thing over here is not going to necessarily help the thing over here, right? But they may be connected in some capacity, right? And we're just not connecting those dots. So, and that's, goes across the board for wellness and health across the board. And then you play in mental health. And I mean, there's all sorts of factors to that. But, going back to just this one point, I think having the diagnosis of this particular mutation was something that completely opened my eyes to all of these things that I just didn't think about before. And if there's one message that I could give, number one, don't let something like that be, what actually kickstarts that ability to be passionate about your own health. But number two, we have a lot more control over our destiny than we think we do.
Yeah.
And knowledge is power, and having the ability to understand the inner workings of your own body. That way, how to protect it and support it in the best way. I mean, what else is there, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have that, what do you have, So anyways, it's been a really interesting journey, and one that I'm very excited about.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I know that hopefully it wasn't too awkward. I know I'm a guy, and it's just kind of women's
We talk
issues,
about boobs so much in my house. My boys are just like, whatever, like, honestly, I mean, they're 12 and 16 and they get a little giggly, but I'm like, listen, boys, I'm like, You know
what's crazy is my wife, we thought she had breast cancer a few years ago, and it turned out she had cat scratch fever. But it manifested itself very similarly in the glands that breast cancer would.
Yeah. Oh,
and she
gosh.
had like a biopsy and all this stuff, and she has she's fostering cats, which was weird, but like cat scratch fever, like what?
I didn't even know that was like an actual.
It's an actual thing. Yeah, we actually think we were in Virginia. It was before we moved to Alabama. It's been and we were fostering cats and stuff, but I thought it was a joke, like cat scratch fever, like the cat scratched you. Like I'm still kind of wrapping my head around literally what that is. But
that's wild.
But yeah, her mother's had it 4 times, and actually the most recent one, it was in the scar tissue. The cancer formed in the scar tissue of her prior, because I think she's had a. Maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. I don't think she's had at least a mastectomy. I don't know if she's had double. But serious stuff, especially as you get older. I mean, I'm 50 now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I gotta.
Who cares about like whatever like. Your health is your health. And maybe I look at it differently when I was 30 or 35.
Well, I'm not going to lie. I mean, I think, the things that were, once important to me.
Yeah.
Really aren't anymore, and that's okay. You know,
you're alive.
Yeah. I think that's freed up a lot of just emotional energy and space in my heart and in my head that, can allow for other things to take that take that up. But, I'm A-okay with that. And, abnormalities and all, right? Whatever that may be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a horrible thing to go through, but I have to say I'm so thankful for it. I really, really am.
Well, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I don't really know what to say other than you're courageous, you're an example. And we need people to be examples, right? Whether or not that was what you intended, but there are certain people that others just need to find strength in.
Yeah.
And I think you're one of those, right? You're CEO, and you're a mogul to some degree in the area, whether you think that or not.
Oh, geez.
And I think that then you kind of like you were saying earlier, others are going to draw further strength when they realize, oh wow, I can't believe what Megan is, what she's been through, or what she chose to do, and how strong is she.
Well, and I think honestly, we all have choices, right? We really do. And I think the more we can be just open and honest about things, frankly, it just allows for a deeper connection. I'm a big proponent on just vulnerability across the board, and having conversations like this that, things are weird, things are awkward. They don't have to be. We're just humans, right? We're just humans forging a connection, right? And talking about things that we both are passionate about, and hard decisions come and go. But I don't know. I mean, I think if we can, just put faith in outcome and believe in ourselves, and again, recognize that we have control over some of that destiny, and just putting some thought into it, we don't have to be hopeless when situations arise like that. So.
Let's play the quick 6 real quick. Okay. I said quick twice. Did we play this last time? Did I ask you 6 questions at the end?
I think we did.
I'm going to try. Hopefully, I didn't write these down, but I want to get to my hypothetical. And in fact, if you saw the one I just posted with Rachel on Instagram and LinkedIn.
I don't know that I saw it.
Hopefully you can find it, but I liked it. I'm going to save it for the last question.
Okay.
But it's my hypothetical that I'd love to see how people surprise me.
Okay.
All right. First one. What's your favorite color?
Oh, gosh.
That kind of green.
Yeah.
Sage green.
I know. Everything.
Seafoam.
My phone, just everything. Yeah. That's like kids call it. There's your color.
Okay.
That's your color.
Would you prefer tickets to Game 7 of the World Series, Game 7 of the NBA Finals, or the Super Bowl?
Super Bowl.
Okay.
Football all day, every day.
All day, every day.
Yeah.
Who's your team, by the way? That's not. I'm waiting.
Oh gosh,
Are you a Gator fan, like Florida?
No. I mean, yeah, sure, because I went to Florida.
I know you did.
I'm not. I lived in Florida. I went to UCF. Go Knights.
Go Knights.
Yeah.
Sure.
Who held the longest losing streak in college football history when I was there. So hey, we didn't go to the game for the football, if you know what I mean. No, honestly, Madison went to Bama. So we're sort of, I don't want to say that I'm like screaming Roll Tide, but yeah, we'll watch a Bama game without a doubt. This season, a little rough, but we'll watch it anyway. And then I took my son to an Auburn game this year as well, which was a phenomenal experience. Had a great time. I'm really not one team or another, die hard in any capacity. If I can be completely honest with you, I've never really been a huge football fan or football. I just, I'll watch a game without a doubt, but hasn't been like, on Saturdays, this is where you'll find me. But Jack got involved in football through Liberty Middle. And he's played for some of the rec leagues as well. But it has become our life during fall and summer. It's fun, I freaking love it.
That's cool.
I am like...
What position is he?
Oh, he's on the O-line, and he wants to go out for running back in the spring. And he's been training at home. We go out and practice for that all the time. And he's obsessed with football. And he has gotten me just as obsessed with football.
Okay.
So he's a big Giants fan, which I think my dad is looking down on him for that. But he loves the Giants. He loves. He's obsessed with so many teams.
That's
so
awesome.
Football is usually always on in my house, and we're always watching it.
Aisle or window?
Aisle or window?
On the plane.
I'm gonna go. It depends on how long the flight is.
You got to pee or something.
Yeah, and I drink a lot of water, so if it's a long flight, but I don't care getting up, making people up. You know what I mean? So I'd probably go with the window.
Okay. Something that you would normally not do, but like say for $100,000, yeah, I'd do that.
I mean, tell me what it is. It depends.
Okay.
I don't know. There's a lot of things I'd do for $100,000.
Because sometimes you'll ask somebody that and they're like, no way, there's absolutely no way. And you're like, $100,000? Now, what's something you absolutely wouldn't do no matter like any amount of money?
As it relates to like sports
anything.
Or
No,
anything.
It doesn't have to be anything.
So
would you eat like a live lizard? You know what I mean? Like something just great. Like you're on one of those shows and like, there's no way you cannot pay me enough money.
So I am like so disgusted and turned off by cockroaches in every which way known to man. Cockroaches, I just have a thing for. So like, I just can't.
Even if $1 million, like put it in your mouth.
Oh my God. Stop it.
Okay.
I mean, for $1 million, I'd do a lot, but like, I don't.
No cockroach.
No cockroaches.
2 cockroaches, 2 million. Sorry, put milk in it.
Put milk in it.
All right, here's a hypothetical.
Ew.
This is the one I like. So do you guys do concerts down in the Probst Arena?
Yeah.
Mark C. Smith Concert Hall?
I mean, here and there. Yeah.
But you're downtown sometimes.
We are, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so imagine it's May.
Mm-hmm.
It's a beautiful summer evening. It's Friday night. And you are now leaving. Let's say you and Zach went to see the ballet because he thought you would enjoy the ballet. And you're leaving, and you know how there's that road in front of Probst Arena and all that area that's always under construction?
Yes, yeah.
You guys get to your car, and you're leaving that parking garage, and you realize you're the only ones. Oh man, my light just went out. I guess it doesn't matter. I have another battery. You realize that you're like the only car going down that road, and there's just people everywhere. So you roll the windows down, and you're gonna crank the radio to a song that you do not mind singing to your heart's content, and Zach's gonna join you.
Oh my gosh!
What song are you singing?
What song are we singing? Oh my gosh. Oh geez, I don't know. So I think that probably, and this is not because it's our favorite shared song by any means. And this is for our family. This is a family shout out. So Jack has been obsessed with Benson Boone, and he walks around the house going, "Moonbeam ice cream," constantly. We took the family to, my mom treated us on a trip to Turks and Caicos last year. It was a wonderful trip. We had a great time. And the entire time, that's all he kept on saying was Moonbeam ice cream. And so it became this joke within our condo that it was just moon, and it hasn't stopped because it's Jack. And so it is always in our house. And it's sort of become like a little family theme song that we all kind of roll our eyes at, but we jump in and sing. And I like Benson Boone. I think he's pretty great regardless of, so I think it might be that just for the sake of it being a fun little family moment.
You want to hear what Rachel's was?
Yeah.
Hers was Deanna Carter. Did I shave my legs for this?
What? I thought maybe it'd be something Taylor Swift.
I was like, she's like, it's funny. Like, how like you get nervous, you're on the spot,
you
can't think of anything, and I'm like, I don't even hurt. Wendy was in the studio, she was dying. I'm like, and she sang it a little bit.
That's hysterical.
That was good.
That's too funny.
Well, Megan, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you
so much for having me back.
You're welcome. I know we didn't really get to talk about your staff much, but any shout outs as we conclude here?
I mean, I have to say, I'm excited for what 2026 has to bring. I will say, I think last year was a really tough year. It was a rough year. I think everybody really felt the pain of, again, and just changes with the new administration and some unknown variables that were just everybody was sort of reacting to. So I think from a business perspective, it's been tough. It's just been an adjustment, honestly. But yeah, I'm really, really proud of the work that we've been able to do, and I'm extremely proud of the team that we have that's been able to support it. We've had just an absolute pleasure of being able to get plugged into this community, and the longer we live here and the older my kids get and the more our business matures and all these things, the more I'm just so thankful that we live in the community that we do, honestly. Michelle and the team at the chamber just make this such a great community to live in, and Ranae at the helm now with the city. I mean, I'm just in awe of what's to come, and I'm really excited about that. And I think that our community, Huntsville and Madison, are making great decisions, across the board. Like I'm really excited about it. And, there's been a lot of big investments in our community too, which is very exciting. So yeah, I would say, as far as shout outs go, this is just a great community that we're honored to be a part of. And, I'm just excited for what's to come. And I have to say, I want the community to rally around Madison CEO to help our students really understand the world of entrepreneurship and have an opportunity to just explore things beyond the book. And just get some real life experience. And I'm very excited about that. So yeah, shout out to everybody who's a part of that, you know what I mean? Yeah. And for my husband for not divorcing me yet, because that's my goal, is to make sure he doesn't go anywhere. Okay. Because, he's come in and has really had to, find a needle in a haystack, so to speak, and kind of, figure things out. And he doesn't have quite the background that we do either. So it's been an adjustment, but I want to give him a shout out, I think, because, he's been really patient with everything and has just been a great sounding board. And running a business is not easy at all. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. Although I'm so appreciative of the opportunity, it's challenging, it challenges you in big, big ways. But I'm glad that I have someone by my side that I can count on to help me through it. So, and I'm thankful for you. Oh. I'm so thankful that this podcast is back and running. When Troy, when you reached out to me and told me that you're getting the band back together, I was just elated and over the moon. Your one man, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You make beautiful music, but you have been, you're such the fabric. This podcast is such a fabric of our community. And I think it's really lent an opportunity for different voices to be heard in a variety of different ways. And this is a really unique thing that you're doing. So I'm just so glad that you are choosing to continue to do this and that the community is rallying around you for that. Do you need sponsors? Do you need people to fund you? So people need to rally around Troy, because these are beautiful stories that you're telling for our community, and there's a reason why you're doing this, right? And it's making a big impact. So
that's the hardest thing. And same thing when I was doing live streaming for high schools, 2 high schools in Virginia. same problem. Like, how do you make money? And it's not make money, but it's just money to buy equipment, right? To operate, to hire. Honestly, I would love to hire kids. Madison CEO, right? You're like, hey, you should hire some interns and stuff. Like, okay, but nobody wants to work for free necessarily.
Yeah.
So it's just being able to like fund that, right? So that we can do more if you have more help.
Yeah.
And by the way, this studio is always open and available if they want to use it.
Awesome. Okay.
I would like to use this more for lots of things. There's a lot of money in here.
Yeah.
And a lot of
hey, we may take you up on that. Seriously, we may take you up on that.
There's actually a couple kids I knew from church. I had them come in and they did like their own. I just said, do whatever, and they came up with their own like sports show, and they talked for 20 minutes. And it was interesting because I don't think they've ever done that before.
Yeah.
But you could see that they had it in them.
That's
like
cool.
they just, and this other kid who actually has like, he's on the spectrum of some sort. And he was talking about gaming, but it was more from like the infrastructure side of like GPUs and RAM and just like the hardware that makes it happen.
Yeah.
And I've never seen that side of him where like he was in his element. And it was awesome.
Wow.
It was almost like he wasn't on the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I've never seen him be more
laser focused.
Yeah. He was just so cogent in his thoughts and sharp, and like it was really cool to see.
Wow.
So
I'm telling you,
by all means, this is available.
Yeah. Well, and these types of things, to have creative outlets, really allow people to find their skills and find what they're passionate about. And come on, you're not going to be able to get that same experience staring at your phone all day long, right? You've got to touch and feel and play and, and so I love that. I love
even
that
like,
so much.
Even like I was saying, like looking at a camera, like I'm not real comfortable as like one of those on camera, like just a single person. Like it's difficult to do that.
Yeah.
Like not everybody can do it. But if somebody wanted to come in here and practice that, like when I interviewed Josh Carey from the Trash Pandas, he talks about how he was a news anchor and just the hours and hours and hours that they spent practicing and getting comfortable in front of the camera and stuff.
Yeah.
If they want to do that, fine. If this is something that maybe it feels like a little bit more of a professional setting and people want to cut their teeth on it, let me know.
Yeah, that's cool. I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, Megan, all the best to you. Happy New Year.
You too. Thank you so much.
And go Knights.
Go Knights.
Take care.
Take care.